I have to have mine.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Friday Mastermind. We've got an extra special guest today, Kevin Watson. What's up, Kevin?
Hello, how are y'all?
Good to have you. We'll give a more formal introduction in a minute. We don't have Todd today. He's doing some things with family, putting family first today, winning by noon with his family. When I do my introduction of Kevin, I'll share some other stuff, but Deborah Bird, it's awesome to see you wearing a First Home IQ founder friend shirt.
Of course. I mean, it is so soft. If you guys haven't got your shirt, will you put the link, or will someone put the link in the chat for those who want to show off their passion and their mission? If you are a loan officer that is really serious about helping the younger generations acquire wealth or get into wealth sooner through owning a home, and you really believe everyone should own a home, then you know what? It's time to represent. Get you a shirt.
Good. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Deborah was the very first big donor. She was the first one to invest $1,000. We've got 100 of those shirts, will be the most that have been sold. I think we were up to about a little over 20. I think we've sold 20 of them now. I shouldn't say sell it. It's a donation, and that is a gift for being one of the first. But remember, guys, you can also go to First Home IQ and just for free get on our mailing list. We also have a new mobile club that we'll be promoting. So Deborah, anything you want to say before we get into Kevin's top strategies? Anything you want to frame the call around?
Just that, we're at that mid-year, just a little past mid-year, which statistically in normal markets, this is when we start to see a little bit of, the peak of home buying season starting to go down just a bit. Your recent call that I didn't get to watch all of it, but I'm going to go back and watch, of getting one more loan and one more agent partner each month is now, I hope everyone's putting that at the front of their thoughts of, we're going to have to dive deeper, get gritty, roll the sleeves up, get to work, because it's usually this time of year is when inventory kind of just slowly comes down. So what is your plan, guys? What is your plan?
Yeah, I love that. So let me frame this call, and it's going to be a little different than the typical mastermind, because I'm going to put this under the category of a training. First of all, let me share the training that we're going to drive. I mean, all month of August, we're every Tuesday at 9:00. It's going to be the Advice Revolution training. So right now, the training that I'm doing with a lot of our clients is where we're focused on the top strategies in the market. And these aren't my ideas. Like, what are the top strategies in the market? It's like from the interviews that I'm doing, I'm having focused conversation on what's working best. Now, here are most of the most popular strategies. I mean, it varies from market to market, company to company. What are the most common ways that mortgage coaches, one, helping loan officers get one extra loan, and two, recruit one extra realtor? So we're doing this Mortgage Coach 10X strategy with a lot of our clients right now, and where we're doing this with clients that have Mortgage Coach. Now, because a lot of you that watch this, you either work for a company that doesn't have Mortgage Coach yet, which we got to change that and get them on the team, or you're just an individual user, and you're with a small broker, whatever reason is, you can't. So I want all loan officers to get this 10X training. So I will be doing it every Tuesday, 9:00, between now and the end of August. So come to that. This particular training, and my invitation to Kevin to be on this call is, one, he's one of the senior leaders at Churchill, which is a great client of ours, has incredible adoption of Mortgage Coach, leads by example. And then two, Kevin is part of Cindy Ertman's Mastermind Elite. And I was fortunate enough to be a guest 2 days ago. And I was there to be like the leader and share things. And before you know it, Kevin's like, I got an idea. And we did a little mini training. And what Kevin's going to share, like, one, Kevin, I want to replay some of that. Like, you don't feel like it has to all be new. Like, literally, that was so killer what you did and how you did it, that we could have just edited that and put it in the channel. But by the way, shout out to Cindy Ertman. Make sure you're following her on social media. Make sure you know what her Mastermind Elite is all about. There's some stars. Oh, by the way, remember, guys, if you are in here, we like these little reactions. Give us as many as you can. And remember, this is a mastermind. So put your questions in chat. Deborah and I will get to those. So Kevin, I think you have a good idea of what we're doing today. Have you watched any of my Speed to Need sales training videos yet?
Yeah, I saw one with, I believe it was Sean and Jeremy.
Yeah,
And
the Sean and Jeremy one.
that was
That was great.
amazing. I learned a lot. It was very good. It's like just when you think you know enough, you learn nuances, and it's fantastic. So yeah,
A lot of passion with that one, huh?
it was. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to remind you guys, we have a playbook. I'm actually updating this right now. I'm going to be adding Kevin's content to this. I'm going to be organizing it a little differently. Like the way it's organized right now, it's organized like, oh, Jeremy's most common strategies, Sean's most common strategies. So it's organized around people. I'm going to organize it around strategies. Like, hey, what are the most common strategies? I am going to start with the Rate Shopper TCA because that seems to be universally number one, number two strategy. But this will be updated on Tuesday. But again, if you want to get a link to that, go to savageinsights.com. And it's one of the top 3 links at savageinsights.com. So Kevin, it's good that you watched that. What are your top strategies? And is there anything different at Churchill that you think would be different? Like, you know, you see what the top 3 are. What are the top 3 that you want to train on today?
You know, with us, we're finding just because there's a shortage of inventory, a lot of our buyers are going to new construction, right? And we find ourselves competing against those lenders. So that's one of the ones that I'd like to talk about. And honestly, I put this together, so I would love for your feedback and constructive criticism so we could refine it and make it even better. But I came up with a couple of ideas of how we have in the past beat the lender for the builder. So I think that's a critical, as I talk to recruits and my loan officers, I've got about 40 loan officers, and we are constantly fighting that battle. So, you know,
Hey,
I tell them
real
the best
quick,
way.
I want to put a placeholder that this while the nuance to it is you're competing with a builder, this is under the rate shopping, you know,
Yes.
TCA lesson, because at the end of the day, you're competing based on price.
That's it.
Although with a builder, it's kind of a unique, it's not just the rate that you're competing with. So I just want to make sure everyone calls this out as this is a you know, a specialty training under rate shopper training. So anyways, keep going.
For sure. So that's one that that I'd like to start with, and depending on how long we go on that one, we can go through the others. I've got 2 or 3 others. So I'll share my screen and we'll go with that. So let's do this.
And Deborah, just know we're trying to create coaching and training out of this. So Deborah, any chance because you know, Deborah was a teacher once upon a time. Well, she's always a teacher. So anything you want to ask or say that you think makes this a better lesson, jump in as much as you want.
Another thing
The
that
good news is I loved teaching the kids like you, Dave. So there doesn't matter what special needs you guys have, it can help.
I'm an Alabama grad. I have a lot of special needs. So
there we go.
But, so one thing that I have found that's more effective for me is to do these TCAs live with my customers. I typically, you know, it's harder and harder to get them to come in, but it's very simple to have them show up with a link and let me send the link to them, and we review this together. So a lot of the times,
Kevin, I want to interrupt you. Could you share the link to this in chat so that people can, you know, guys, we're going to put this link in here, and anybody that is watching this right now, you can really see exactly what it's like to be a borrower of Kevin's. So think of what's happening in Zoom. This is the lender and the loan officer view. But if you click on that link, you'll see the borrower. I'm going to actually, when we do this, I'm going to shrink my screen so that I can see it. So hang on, everybody. Give me a second to get this shared, Kevin. And by the way, I love that you're doing this. Shout out to the Trust Engine innovation team. Let's create some micro content around this. Kevin Watson, compete with builder, lender, TCA. All right. So guys, click on that right now. You see the link. I want to make sure we get a few people seeing it. I want you guys to note up in the upper right-hand corner, we can see that there are 2 of you viewing it right now. That will refresh every few seconds. We got 3 of you now. So also just want to remind folks, you got 5 of you now. So if you were consulting with a husband and wife and they were different locations and you only had 1 person viewing it, you know. This is also a great tool when doing lunch and learns virtually, sharing this. And so look at that, we're up to 9 people. I'm sure it's going to keep going, but Kevin, now remember guys, in Zoom is the loan officer view. I would shrink that on your screen. And then, you've got the borrower view on the right, kind of shrink that so you can watch it and you can be like seeing how loan officers doing it. And you can also see the consumer and the borrower experience at the same time. Anyways, keep it rolling, bro.
All right. So I start with the competition's bid or whatever their LE will say, if I can get a hold of that, and just show them. So in this example, we have a builder that has given a $10,000 incentive to go with the builder's lender, right? And then, so this is their offer. Now, I often find that these lenders will not have that good of an interest rate. So I'm not trying to be rate sensitive, but most of the time they're not going to have that strong of an interest rate. So sometimes we can beat them there. Sometimes they're building it in and factoring that in as part of the incentive. So in this case, it's where that happens, and I can show a customer very simply over time how our offer is much better. Okay, so we're looking at a payment of $43.76, and their cash to close after the incentive is $34,108. So then what I'll do is I'll bring in our example and show them how they can save about $279 a month. And then I showed them in the middle section here over savings over 120 months. I've already got that highlighted, showing them they're actually saving about $30,000 over 10 years. So what I do, I stop there and I say, so, this is what happens is you're saving 10,000, but it's costing you 30,000. So we have to look at the total picture here and just make sure that this is the right thing for you and your family. And at that point, that's a pretty easy sale, and it's really not a sale, it's just a consult, showing them what we can do to help them. Now, sometimes it's not that dramatic. Maybe the rate is a little bit closer, but the best thing to do is just put it in here and let the numbers tell you. I love that. Sometimes I'm live with a customer and I say, hey, I don't know what the answer is going to be. I said, we're just going to plug it in here and we're going to find out ourselves what the answer is going to be together, right? And I think we're exploring those options. Another sort of creative idea that I thought may be a great idea is what if, and honestly, I stole this from Sean and Jeremy the other day on theirs, but what if you raised the price and had the seller pay a 2-1 buy down? So you raise the price, the builder's going to love the raised price. I do work for a couple of builders, and they don't mind ever raising the price on a house because that's another comp for them in that same neighborhood that shows a higher price. So it justifies raising their price. So if you raise the price and then the first year of the buy down, you've got a much lower payment by $877. So now you've got $877 savings. So if your customer is very payment sensitive then, hey, we just saved you $877. That's $10,524, you know, just the first year, right? So we just saved you more than the incentive you're getting, right? And then you still have another year. So you have one more year in the buy down. So your next year, you're going to have another $540 a month that you're saving. So $540 a month for 12 months is another $6,480. So you're literally saving a lot more than the incentive that you were given. If they're payment sensitive, that's a really great way to show them how we can beat them, beat the builder's lender. And the other thing you're doing, guys, is you're letting them know that you're thinking about other options for them. A lot of times, what I find is if you give the customer one option, then they feel that they need to shop you because they feel like they weren't presented all the options. If you give them many options and then you guide them and help them to come to a solution that is best for them and their family, then they feel like they've kind of satisfied the need to shop, and they feel like, hey, let's just go with this. This looks great. And what I'll normally do when they choose which one they want to do, I'll normally highlight it. Say, okay, so this is the one you're going to go with. And I'm just going to unhighlight these. So when you go back in, you know which one you chose to go with. And this is the one we're going to go with. So this is our strategy. In fact, I call it a strategy session. When I send out my invite, I find that Calendly works really well. So I send them a Calendly invite that has a pre-done 15-minute video about all the things about rate shopping and the 32 factors that change interest rates and all that. And then I find that they'll watch that, so they already have sort of a setup on who I am and what we're about. So at this time, we've got our strategy, and then I help them go ahead and get to their pre-approval. But this is sort of how I present for our builders. Of course, I'm going to go in and show them the more info button, and I'm going to show them the details of the payment and the closing cost and the fee details. But you guys know how to do that. I just wanted to show you the front part.
So I'm going to give a couple comments and then hand it off to Deborah. So guys, here are a couple things. So one, from a data perspective, you're talking to a man who has some of the highest conversion rates in the mortgage industry, and him and a few other loan officers at Churchill, like they have the highest lead conversion. And regardless of what type of lead it is, and you're seeing part of why. I mean, their authorship is ownership, and they're authoring a mortgage strategy with a consumer. They're having a strategy session. And so the consumer is involved in developing this plan. So science of selling, authorship is ownership. They mutually pick a strategy. They're committed to it. So that's some of the magic. Math is math. Math doesn't lie. Math is truth. And they're using the math to visually show it and walk them through. So, I mean, this is one, the data will tell you that if you want to have an optimized conversion, do what Kevin just did virtually, or do what Kevin just did in person. I mean, I know a lot of loan officers, pre-COVID, that this is how they delivered their presentation. So, first of all, like, killer job, dude. You're a total pro, among America's, best professionals. Yeah, let's give them an applause. Guys, if anybody liked it, give Kevin a reaction. And then Deborah, your turn for either, coaching notes or questions.
The thing that sticks out to me the most with these is, math is math, but if you struggle with even looking at survey plans and you're trying to measure, what can fit in my backyard, sometimes it's hard to visualize. But when you are clicking and you see those bar graphs, like that is like the punctuation of the math. It visually ties it all together so that people can visually see, wow, look at the difference in savings. Yes, you could see the number, the 127,000, that feels like a big number instead of 74,500. But when you go through and you walk me through kind of your lesson plan, to me, this is just collaborative learning, super modern, high tech, visually makes it easy to understand, where, to your point, Dave, the wow factor compared to what most loan officers do with just sending the itemized fee worksheet, it's like, you get this and you're like, wow. So that right there reduces even the thought or the possibility of someone just feeling the need to shop you. But then also, like you said, Dave, helps with the conversion too, because they feel safe. They feel like it's transparent. You know, when Kevin said, I don't know what that would do, let me plug it in and let's see. It's like, it just felt very transparent, very trusting, and like you're working with a top-notch professional that thinks outside the box.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good job.
Agreed. Kevin, is there anything else you want to share on this particular strategy, or, you know, should we go to the next one?
You know, I always I come up with a couple of ideas, but I always want to say, how do you feel about this? You know,
Mhm.
so I learned that from one of my loan officers who's been with us over 20 years. So I just love asking, how do you feel about this so far? And it's great because for some reason it makes people open up and they actually tell me what they really are feeling. Well, you know, that's looking this or that, and then we can start to address those challenges. So other than that, we can move on to the next one if you want.
All right, well, let me share my screen real quick. I think I could just take it. Hang on. Just a really, you know, again, I want this to be a training. So it goes from, you know, a sales concept to a real world strategy. And this is a concept, and, you know, why I call this training speed to need training, is because for as long as I've been in the business, speed to lead has been the number one criteria to conversion. You know, like for my entire career, like giving great advice and a total cost analysis and, you know, how you were referred. I mean, all these things matter, but speed to need, or excuse me, speed to lead always mattered most. And by the way, I think it still does, you know, and I kind of put, you know, fortunes in the follow-up. Speed to lead is like not only being the first one there, but being most on point with your follow-up. Now, the point I want to make right now and why I call this training speed to need is I think in this new era of lending, and I truly believe we've had a sea shift in mortgage because rates went to the bottom. More than 50% of mortgages start with 2% or 3%. It's more important that we give advice than ever before. And in order to give advice, you have to have a need. So what we're doing is we're teaching, you know, speed to need training. And again, the solution set fits under Rate Shopper. You're in a competitive situation and someone who's looking at pricing options. This is how Kevin did it, but this is how he addressed the needs. And he did it, by the way, he did it super fast, super clean. You know, he's going to be everybody's favorite teacher because the loan officer with the fee worksheet, it's not going to be super fast and super clean. So what's next, Kevin?
But Dave, can
Okay.
I just point out real quick that you always have a great slide deck, like those pictures that you just showed to, again, put the punctuation mark on the words that you're saying and really put it to life. That speed to need with the helicopter, that's a pro move too. Like you have a slide deck ready to go on your computer that I've seen you do lots of different presentations. And guys, that's a pro tip. Do you have different slide decks ready to go based on your conversation, depending on what the concern or the need is now the right time to buy? If interest rates go down, how dialed in are your offer submissions? Because we know the competitiveness is going to be fierce out there. And so I just want everyone to recognize, I know Dave does that because he's smooth and he's used to presenting all the time, but like those pictures were A, killer. And two, it's just a good practice for others to witness and to observe that, again, helps tie the story together visually from when you're talking. So good job.
Yeah, I'm glad you called that out. I do want to pile on a little bit on that because, you know, I interview a lot of top producers and I know within companies who not only is most successful, but who has the highest conversion rate. And, you know, as we've entered into a more complex market for the past 2 years, the loan officers with the best conversion are using MortgageCoach. The loan officers with the best conversion, they have like a little slide deck. It's got some data, it's got some key concepts, and they're going back and forth. I want to put attention on a YouTube video that's going to hit. I don't know if it's going to hit later today or Friday, but I interviewed Ryan Kiefer, and he shares a couple mortgage strategies but he made these videos that are on YouTube, and you'll notice it goes from him talking to a slide with a concept and then a TCA, and it's edutaining. They're YouTube videos, so not only do you want to have them in your one-on-one conversations, when you're making social media content, this is a skill, like being able to go from I'm talking, I'm showing a slide, I'm showing live product. Like these are the skills of the modern day educator and the modern day mortgage professional. So great call out. Kevin, what's next? Oh, and by the way, Lender Launchpad. Someone just put a link. Oh, Deborah put a link in here. That's why Lender Launchpad is scaling. Like it's a platform where, hey, I can give one link to the consumer. It's got a MortgageCoach TCA. It's got a YouTube video. It's got a PDF. So, shout out to Lender Launchpad. If you don't know what it is, go to the link that Deborah just shared below. We're big fans of it.
All right. Agree. So the next one.
Oh, link, share the link.
Oh,
you're doing a classroom here.
I apologize.
This is a teaching. So remember, guys, reminder, teachers do remind every now and then. The Zoom screen is the loan officer / advisor view. And the link that I'm going to give everybody right now, what are we going to call this one? What's the problem we're solving here?
Why put down less and invest?
And is this a rate shopper? It sounds like maybe it's a creating urgency.
This is more of a strategy for how much to put down on a down payment for a home versus leaving that in investments or investing. So however you want to call this.
Well, I just called it in chat, guys. Click on the Kevin Watson down payment options TCA. But here's how I want to position this. I interviewed Ryan Grant this Tuesday, and he shared a TCA at the end, and it was called the I can, I should, I must TCA. And what he is saying is, like, just because you pre-qualified someone and they can buy a home doesn't mean they're going to make a winning offer and get into escrow in this market. The people who are getting into escrow in this market are the people like, I must buy now. And I can tell you, I haven't seen this yet, but I can guarantee you, this is going to be a great example of a TCA that creates urgency. Because it creates personal clarity for a consumer around how this mortgage and buying this home is going to help them have confidence and have peace of mind. So anyway, let's see where it goes. But that's how I would categorize it.
Okay, so here's the setup. We've got a customer buying an $800,000 home. They want to put 20% down. And so we've got the payment of $48.86 highlighted in the cash to close, $179. So what at this point, I always check with them. First of all, one of the things that we believe, one of the things that Dave Ramsey actually talks about is having your emergency money, right? And so I'll always ask them, is this all the money you have? And just check and make sure, because I haven't gotten the application yet and I don't have all that information. So I'm checking to see, is there any other money? Are you using all this? And I want to make sure, number one, that they're not going to go into this house and not have any cash flow. So number two, I always say, is this the best use of your money, right? Because I believe the velocity of money is very important to make sure that money is making you money, right? Because we only have a finite amount of time that we are accumulating money for retirement or for later living a different life, right? So I always like to ask them that. So I say, do you mind if I just show you, what if we just put 10% down, and let's look and see what that looks like, and what if you could invest the rest of that maybe at 8% in the market and see what that would do for you. Okay, so let's see what that looks like, just to see if you're comfortable with that payment. And so we look, and you're saving roughly $79,000 that you don't have to bring to the table. Your payment is $566 more. Okay, so this is what I really like right here is, let's look at your net worth just in 3 years, right? And this is just in 3 years. So this is, hey, assuming there's a possibility we may actually refinance you. But if you just did this for 3 years, you've saved $79,000. And look at what your net worth is gone. It's gone from 280 to 304, 641 right here. So it's just a cool little factor to show them how they can make money, right? One of my things that I always say is the equity in your house is not making you any money, right? And so how can you make the equity in your house make you money? Well, it's harder to pull it out than it is to just leave it and not put as much down. So that's just one tool that we look at and say, here's where you are and here's what we can do. So let's just pretend, all right, we're in the pretending stage now. And I try to make sure they know that I'm not guaranteeing them anything, but let's just pretend that I'm going to be able to refinance them later on. So now here's a future refinance. Let's say that we could get them a 5.75%. And here's the fun part. Look at how close the payment is, right? Look at how close these two payments are. That's kind of cool. And we saved the guy how much? I mean, this gets me excited. I don't know about you guys, but I got chills on my arm. And because look at the payment difference. It's nothing, right? But he's got $309,000 in his net worth compared to 280 just in 3 years. I mean, this is just in 3 years because I wanted to make it short term, assuming that he's going to refinance. So, and then I did another one just to show him, well, we don't really know where rates are, but what if we could get to 5.25? So how would that look? What would 5.25 do? And look, it's a lower payment. It's a lower payment than what he's paying now with 20% down.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's crazy. It is.
And if you were to say that, Kevin, I think most people would just assume that that can't be correct. So I just want to reiterate how the image, the bar graphs and this charts, and when you're highlighting, it just really anchors in for people like, holy crap, you're not just blowing smoke at my rear end. This is legit, and it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, I
Math
don't know
is
how
so
else
cool.
you really prove that to people without this. It's like
I don't
fighting
either.
a knife fight without a knife.
I almost want to say, like, give anyone who doesn't do Mortgage Coach a challenge, Dave, and say, okay, here's the challenge. If you show me how to illustrate this complicated to someone in this short of an amount of time and develop it this fast, $100, right? And then we'll come on and we'll show them this, and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this took me all night to put together. And this tool is just so beautiful. But this is just a way you can use the net worth part instead of using, when you go under, and a lot of people don't even know this exists, but you go under analysis and then you look at where it says adjust, the adjustment reinvestment strategy. You can go in there.
Do you mind going in, pulling up the advice engine right now, dragging that over to the screen? Or
Yeah, right here.
And so guys, like, you can adjust this on the fly right here, long-term net worth. Every time you do a rent versus own, you should show it net worth, and then also change it from 3 years to like, I don't know, let's do 5 years. Let's just show a little longer period of time. And guys, this is where a mortgage coach is playing a different game than a loan officer. Like, when you learn how to use this tool, and by the way, it saves you time. Like, Kevin can do these in minutes. And it's fast, it's easier than any other thing you could do. And he's showing a whole different level of value. So innovation team, let's make sure we make a piece of micro content around this, because this is a great example of the power of advice. Like, by the way, everybody give Kevin a hand, please. Let's give him a hand. Kevin, anything else you want to call out on this particular example?
One thing that I did learn from Jeremy and Sean is when you're doing your refinance, make sure you click that it's a refinance. I thought that was brilliant. That way you're not showing that they're bringing money to closing again or anything like that. But you can make this a purchase and this a refinance, which is pretty cool. So it's got a lot of diversity there. So I did
Yeah.
pick that one up when I was watching that. So I'll give them the credit on it.
Yeah. Hey, stop sharing
That's
your
it.
screen real quick. I want
All
to
right.
show a couple things and just remind folks, guys, like if you adopt these skills, you are going to crush. You're going to get more than one extra loan a month. And then we're going to close out today's training with, now, how do you turn these superpowers into recruiting realtors? So we'll cover that. I do want to just in the speed to need training that I'll be doing every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. You know, this is a different example, but it's the rate shopper TCA. And I want to show you how you could take what Kevin just did. And like, let's say he's got in a competitive situation, but the rate shopper TCA is where you just show like 2 points, 1 point, you know, no points, and then the future refi. And Kevin did kind of a version of this, you know, which a lot of people call this the date, the rate, marry the house. Now, let's say Kevin did what he did, and let's say he gets shopped, like they pick the strategy that he said, but it's a credit union. It's a 0.5% lower in rate. Then you could go, well, hey, my strategy versus credit union strategy. And on a $500,000 loan, a 0.5 point is $132 a month. It's about $2,000 over 2 years, or over 1 year, and about $4,000 over 2 years. So now remember, if you showed them the future rate, like, and if you did a good job of like, they want to do business with you, they see value in doing business with you, they're not gonna leave you for $2,000. Because remember, the mortgage, especially in this market, is now if rates were like at 4%, you couldn't just say, hey, you couldn't dollarize it over 12 months. But in this market, knowing that rates are going to be lowered within a year, no longer than 2 years, you can make the case and you can dollarize this. And then let's say it's a lot of money and they want to negotiate still for the rate. Now you're negotiating the price exception based off of dollars, not 1/8% in interest rate. I mean, 1/8% in interest rate is 50 basis points. That's expensive. So if you get like what he just did will create urgency, taking a consumer to, I can buy a home, to, I must do this right now. It also will reduce rate shopping. It creates authorship as ownership. And now if someone still wanted to grind with a lower rate, he is at a place where he can just either update that TCA or create another TCA and have a totally different conversation than a loan officer. So one more point, Kevin, I'm going to give it back to you.
Dave, can I highlight something you said real quick in regards to profitability? I feel like if you're a branch manager or maybe in the C-suite of a mortgage company, profitability is a real thing. And so just showing the difference and going off of that $2,000, like, I think is huge for your loan officers to know. Because I think a lot of times we focus on, okay, how many families did you serve? What was your volume? But also how profitable were the loans that you were doing. And this came from a webinar that I listened to with Todd Bookspan. And he made a post on this yesterday from Win by Noon. I'll put it in the chat. But this is a serious thing to coach loan officers on just a perspective change to help be more profitable within your branch or your company.
Well, just to put an explanation mark on that, when I do this 10X training with some lenders out there, I'm making them run the numbers and show, you know, like, so NFM is a client of ours and they're doing this MortgageCoach 10X training. And so said, okay, we'll do this, but I want you to run the numbers on the profitability difference between all your MortgageCoach loan officers, and they have 94 of them, against your 319 non-MortgageCoach users. And the MortgageCoach users are 65 basis points more profitable. Now, by the way, that's the biggest lift I've seen. But by the way, he ran the numbers. It's almost $1 million in annual profits. And if he was able to double that, we're not talking about revenue. It's like annual profits. And it was also like, it would have been, it's so much business for him to duplicate that with production, like recruiting loan officers. We're talking about over $600 million in production. So the profit he's getting because his, these 94 loan officers are using Mortgage Coach, it's massive. I did another analysis right now, and we're doing a Mortgage Coach 10X strategy with Homeowners Financial, and they've got 49 of their loan officers using Mortgage Coach, and their conversion rate is 8.7% more. Now, they didn't see as big a delta on the profitability, but 6 basis points is real money. And then here's the other thing for all you branch managers out there, retention. They found that the loan officers that used Mortgage Coach that worked in their company were 250% less likely to leave, to leave. They had more retention issues than normal last year, and people didn't use our product. They weren't committed. It made a difference. So anyways, guys, and every loan officer who's watching this right now, like, break this down to yourself, like, even though you may not cost you money with basis points, it was unconstructive tension. You're losing some of those loans. You're losing referrals because you're having that conversation. You're losing customer satisfaction scores. You want to deliver this experience, and also you want to help your company optimize profits. If you are not among the most profitable loan officers in the company, you are not among the best salespeople in the company, like the best advisors. It's like, think of it as your sales a fitness score. So Kevin, back to you. Let's rip out your next few strategies.
Yeah, one more thought on that, Dave, before we go to the next one is, I was just thinking about this, and what if we approached and said, hey, yes, it's going to be $2,300 more, right, for this year. But, the fact is most lenders will quote you a rate, get you closed on time, and then you'll never hear from them again. The difference between what we do and what they do is we're here for you after the close. We're going to continue to keep in touch with you and do annual review calls, and we're going to watch these rates. And as soon as those rates get down to the place that we feel is going to be your best strategic move, we're going to contact you. You're not going to have to be calling me to find out. And when we do that refinance, it's going to save you $153,000 over the life of your loan. And isn't that worth to you the extra $2,000? And let them tell you if it's worth it or not.
And guys, just to brag on that point, Churchill uses Sales Boomerang. We monitor their database. So when things get in the money, there's an alert created, and it's a digital assistant. It's creating the TCA, for the loan officer. And so, Churchill is very serious about doing that. They also automate at the close of escrow a TCA that shows how much money, if you paid an extra 100 or 200, how much more that would pay off. So they're starting that, they're doing this awesome front end experience. Kevin, the loan officer's there at the close of escrow. They're showing them, hey, if you pay 200, 300, what would that do? They're doing annual reviews, and they're monitoring their database with Trust Engine to make sure that, they're when people look like someone that needs a loan, or they are someone that could benefit by lowering their monthly payments, we're alerting the loan officer, we're alerting the consumer, and we're creating a TCA with our digital assistant. So anyways, you're killing it, bro. What's next?
Okay.
And remember, share the link. Share the link.
Yep, I already did.
What's it called?
This one is really, this is actually a live customer. So I'm talking to her. It's actually a listing. So it's how to help your listing agents and pick up more deals. Okay.
Oh,
how about that?
dude, how about that? So Kevin Watson, helping listing agents, TCA. Click on it, everybody. I just put it in there. Click on it quick, and let's go, Kevin.
All right. So here's the customer. She's got a condo that she's listed, and it's kind of sitting there. Okay. So they're trying to make some activity happen. So we talked about, of course, the buy down scenario and how to do that. So I went ahead and just added a buy down scenario here for them. and showing how we can save the customer, the buyer, money, right, at the same price. But what I think is really important to help the seller to understand is, what is this going to look like if they had to lower the price to get the same payment of $34.38, right? So of course, here's year 2, okay? But then I'm going to go ahead and open up how they'd have to reduce this price down to equal the same payment. So look at this. They have to reduce the price down to $412,000 to equal the same $34.38 payment. So that is $87,345 difference that the seller would have to pay just to bring this payment down to the same payment, right? And look at the cost of the buy down right here. The cost of the buy down is $11,201. So would you rather, Mrs. Seller, would you rather pay $11,201 to help your buyer buy a home at $34.38 payment, or would you rather pay $87,000 to help them do the same? And so what I do is I tell my listing agents, I say, this is a little bit complicated, and without this tool, it's a little bit tougher to explain. So what I would recommend you do is, every buyer that calls you about this, have them call me or let me call them and let me go through this with those buyers. So you see what I'm doing? So just have every buyer say, hey, and put it in the remarks, offering a buy down, talk to Kevin Watson at Churchill Mortgage. This is his number, and he can help go through and explain the program. That way, listing agent, you don't have to worry about this. I've got this. I'm going to take care of those buyers, and I'm going to show them all the numbers. So it gives you a little bit of pickup on possibly picking up a couple of those people. It doesn't matter if they're pre-approved already, that's fine. I'm just going to show them this program and be able to be a guide to help you get this listing sold. So number one objective is get the listing sold, right? Help a buyer. Number two, you could pick up a deal or two,
Hey, scroll to the top real quick. I want to see how many people are viewing this, and just 11. So guys, this, every loan officer in our community should know how to do all 3 of the TCAs that Kevin just did. Kevin, I challenge you. I think, one, hopefully we share this with everyone at Churchill, but just know, if you want me to join any calls or, do anything with our speed to need, call it MortgageCoach 10X training over there, just, connect me with Matt or let me know, and I'm happy to play this forward there. But guys, this is just game changing. Deborah, anything you want to add or ask?
Yeah, we are using this exact strategy. We're wrapping it with Lender Launchpad, and I'm having our plug and play SM rock stars. They are committing to sending out 5 seller buy down TCAs to listing agents by using Redfin and sorting who's had price reductions in the last 7 or 14 days. So they have to send out 5 of these proactively to the listing agent to try to earn that business. And then they're also using this very TCA to go open house crashing on the weekend. So their goal is to try to acquire 10 new agent partners in their database every week by leveraging the TCA as their bait. Because a lot of people are putting lines in the water, I feel like, but there's like no hook at the end to then capture and reel in the business. This is how you can use the TCA kind of multi-purpose, not just for real world client examples, but take the listing that you see online and educate the listing agent with a video. Again, this is where Lender Launchpad kind of helps do that in conjunction with MortgageCoach. But this is how you go fishing with bait, and then you start reeling them in.
Yes.
So Deborah, Paul,
Those are
let's
great.
get Deborah scheduled on one of our Tuesday speed to need training so that we can teach that within the context of that program. Great. And by the way, I love that word, open house crashing. I don't know if I've heard those 2 words put together yet, but I liked
That's
it.
a nerd word. It was kind of like wedding crashing, but we made it open house crashing.
I'm down with it. House hacking. Like Gen Z words. Like I'm down. I want to go do that this weekend. All right. And so guys, you've already got so many ideas to get one extra loan from a borrower, one extra loan, or get one more realtor. Actually, you just got an idea to get a whole bunch of new realtors. Could you stop sharing again real quick? Now I'm going to play a clip that I've been playing a lot lately, and I'm not getting tired of it because what I'm going to play is so game changing that if you took the strategy that Kevin's talking about, when you help a customer and you CC the realtor, like you're going to recruit realtors. So Kevin knows what I'm going to show right now. Deborah probably does too. You know, we're going to show the clip from Shay Jenkins. Last year was her second year in the business, and she did 53 million in production. She's on track to having another over $50 million year. And she's using Mortgage Coach to deliver advice to her consumers, and she's looping in the realtor. So guys, this is what you need to do. Check it out.
I was going after this huge, one of the top agents in Denver. And I had been trying since I was an assistant, I had been trying to get this person. And finally, the poor girl gave me a break and was like, Lord, like, here you go, take this one lead. And I took the lead and I did a Mortgage Coach. And I was just like, you know what, why not? I'm going to CC the agent on here. And then that's when the agent picked up the call and she's like, are you serious? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm like, what, Mortgage Coach? And I was like, you're the top agent. You've never seen this before? And she's like, absolutely not. She's like, this is amazing. She's like, would you be able to do this with all my buyers? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, that's so cool. And again, in her head, I think she was thinking, I'm up all night creating this massive presentation with all these numbers and graphs. And I got her business and she's one of my top agents now.
So I'm not going to get tired of watching that. For those of you that watch a lot of my content, you know, I've been playing that a lot because we've never been more valuable. Like giving advice to consumers is, you know, it's an advice market. There's an advice revolution, and making sure that the realtors know what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's never been more important. Kevin, any thoughts? I mean, have you had realtor success stories like that before?
Oh yeah, all the time. And what I like to do when we're talking about the buy down, a lot of times they just don't understand how it works. I say, let's go through this together. And before I'll send out the link, I will set up a time and we'll go through that together and I'll explain it to them. And when the light bulb goes on, you can't ever turn it off. They send you every listing. Can you do this one on this one? Can you do this on this one? And so you become a part of their team. And the more valuable you become, the more top of mind awareness you become. And then they're talking to all their friends in the office about you. And so it really works that way. And, but I do think it's so important to have your realtor see this TCA and go through it. So they can understand and experience what the customer is experiencing and how so different it is from the majority of loan officers that are presenting, and how much better it is. So, and how much more professional you are by using it.
Yeah. So I know there have been some questions, guys, but I want to make sure that all the strategies that Kevin came with and all the key concepts that we want to share get shared. We'll try to get to your questions at the very end. Do you have one more strategy? And if you don't have another strategy, we'll answer questions. I want to get the gold, as much gold from you as we can before we do Q&A.
The other one is pretty quick, so I can show it to you. So let me do this. This is a customer.
What do we call it?
This would just be reassuring an existing customer about that, So Mortgage Coach can be used not only in the beginning, but it can be used during the process to continue to reinforce the plan, right? So this is a couple. Let me get to this and share the TCA first. It's a couple that is building a home. And unfortunately, rates have continued to rise on them. And, we give them the option to do the long-term lock with the float down option, but sometimes they don't all do that, right? And so this is one that got caught that woulda, coulda, shoulda, and they didn't. So we're sort of reassuring them. See if I can get into chat, put this here, that things are going to be okay. So there it's in chat, and let me share Screen.
And so we're going to call this
I don't know what you
the,
want to call
the,
that.
the clarity and confidence TCA for your pipeline. At least
Yep.
that's what I'm going to call it now, guys.
So basically, here is their floating interest rate, right? And then I showed them a buy down of 1% if they wanted to buy down the rate. And then I went back and just reassured them, hey guys, and this is Deborah, where I think you said, putting in a slide and adding some third party support is a really great idea, because sometimes they just think I'm selling them, right? But if I can show them third party proof, hey, here's what NAR, MBA, FHFA, and Case Shiller say rates are going to be at the end of the year, right? And so I've got a chart. I didn't do it in time, but I would have shown them that and say, here, I'll email it to them if I'm on here live with them and say, look at that chart. This is where they're thinking rates are going to be. And here's where we are. So just know that this is just for a little bit of time. All right. These payments are here. We can qualify you here. We know you're good, but this is where we're probably going to land, right? Closer to something like this in the very near future. And I'm reassuring them that I've got their back. Okay. Hey, I'm your guy. I've got your back. I've got your six. I'm not going to let you down. And I'm going to be watching this for you. And you're on my rate watch, and I got you, right? Because I get a little nervous when it starts to get into that 5,000 range. So I just thought it would be good just to, in midway, you can always use this tool to come back to a customer. Another great one that we used a lot last year was the appraisal gap, right? And we didn't go through that today, but it's always great to reassure. And this is a great way to illustrate that. So that's all this is.
Well, and it's the proactive getting to the need before even the client realizes it's a need, because, as time goes by, it could be renting space in their head, or they may start hearing things on the news. And
Good
so
point.
this kind of flushes that worry out. So you're getting to the need before they even realize it's a need.
Yeah.
That's great.
And they think that it's this column and this column right here. They think it's, oh my gosh, I'm going to pay this. And I was like, no, guys, this is just temporary, right? You're going to be closer to these columns down here. Okay. So just know I got your back, and this is what I do. I'm a professional, and I'm going to take care of you. Right. And so just reassuring people like that. And Deborah, I love what you said, proactively reassuring. So it doesn't collect rent in their head. Right. That's even better. Right. So handle the objection before it becomes an objection. Right.
Yes.
But that's all this one is.
All right. Well, let's try to, first of all, another great, just what I just call leadership. You're bringing leadership to your customers, and let's face it, getting people pre-approved in this market it's hard, and there's less of them than ever, but what's harder? Getting them into escrow. And what's harder? Keeping them in escrow to close. And so this is just an example of how, he's helping people who can buy a home go from I should, I need to, and I'm confident and comfortable doing it. Guys, that's what this market's all about. So it's been a great training. Kevin, have you seen any of the questions in here? Do I need to call them out? One person said, how do you compare a 30-year fix against 5 years, against 2 1-year fixed rate loans over 5 years? Honest question. I don't know. Is that easy to answer? It's not for me.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's do this. So first of all, guys, we do training every Wednesday at 11. You can go to our website. You can sign up for it. We have live training every single day of the week. So I'm just going to close out with a reminder on a few things. So, since this is a training, first of all, make sure you're following Savage Insights. This gets updated every single day. When I did my interview with Todd and Jonathan Roach a few weeks ago, we wrote an article called Be Your Best. It's on LinkedIn. It's a badass article. So go check that out. We'll make sure that link works for you. And then let's go to Mortgage Coach, like log into the Mortgage Coach website, go to resources. There's on-demand training. So like literally 24/7 hours a day, 365 on-demand training. So if you haven't been through that, make sure you check that out. If you go to resources and you click on live daily training, Wednesday at 9, we're doing strategy training. Thursday at 9, we're doing Q&A on any questions you have. And for anyone that's a beginner, go here. And again, of course, every Friday, we're doing the Productivity Mastermind. And every Tuesday, we're interviewing amazing people, with this Tuesday being about speed to need sales training, just like we're doing right here with Kevin. Kevin, any closing thoughts you have for everyone?
You mentioned Cindy Ertman in the beginning, and I wanted to give her props. She's an amazing coach. If anyone ever needs coaching, she would be a great coach. I went into her coaching kind of going, I think I need it, but maybe. And I'm so glad I did. And she's wonderful. So I want to give her a plug, but also Dave, you and I are good friends, and we go way back with Churchill, and you're here. We're here for our 30-year anniversary, and you're here for a lot of our things. So we appreciate you. And it's amazing how much Mortgage Coach has helped our business. When I got here 12 years ago, it was out of our branch, probably 85 to 90% of it came from leads, and the rest was self-gen. And now it's the other way around, where we only get about 20% of our business comes from our leads, from Dave Ramsey, but 80% of our business comes from self-gen. I'd say the number one thing we did was Mortgage Coach. So I appreciate you so much.
Appreciate you. That
wow.
was so
I was a little intimidated when I heard you were going to be on this call. So I was like, oh my gosh, Deborah Bird's going to be on this call. But wow, what great contribution you made. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And if there's others out there, if you're a branch manager or C-suite and you need help maybe motivating your loan officers and incorporating the TCA within their marketing, I will be more than happy, since you're in this community, just send me an email, marketing@plugandplaysm.com, and we'll set a Zoom up and we'll educate your loan officers so they can go out and fish with some live bait on some hooks.
All right, guys. And if you're not in the Trust Engine family yet, sign up for a demo. We would love to have you, whether it's use Mortgage Coach, Sales Boomerang, go to our website, sign up. You could always email me, Dave@Trust Engine. If you are not already part of the First Home IQ revolution, where we're going to get to kids in high school and college and get more first-time home buyers buying younger and earlier, check it out. And this is a wrap. Really appreciate everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Boom.